Greetings, Mikal here. This will most likely be the last video for the year 2017. I wanted to use this opportunity to first wishing you a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And at the same time, I wanted to do a book review of my 4+1 favorite books this year. So it won't be in depth with all of those books. So it will just be a sort of a quick rundown of what I have found the most valuable for me this year, and then you can choose whether you might want to look into any of those books yourself. And one of the things before doing that is I have over the last 2 years been using mostly audiobooks. And these days, the first thing when I come across a new book, I check whether it's available as an audiobook, because I just love being able to listen to that, particularly if it's the author, him or herself, that is reading the book. It just adds a unique quality to it. So the first book is actually a very old book that has been around for a long time, and I've had it for a long time. I've read it many times, but for the first time this year, I managed to get it on Audible. Audible is a platform that I'm using to listen to audiobooks. So this is probably one of my, this is one of my all-time favorites, The Power of Now with Eckhart Tolle. And I recommend it to all my clients, and I continuously read it myself, because it's one of those books that you can read from cover to cover, and then you can do that again and again, or you can just open on any page and there's always some wisdom there. And now it is available this year as an audio book as well, read by Eckhart Tolle himself. And I really enjoy listening to him reading his own book. It just adds a wonderful quality to the experience. So this is a book I can recommend. It's not a new book. It's been around for a long time, but it's worth reading over and over and over again. The next one is also a book that you can read over and over again. I haven't done that yet because I've just gone through it for the first time, and it's taken me about 1.5 years to read through this book. Unfortunately, this one is not available as an audiobook, and nor will the author ever be able to do that because he is not with us any longer. This is called The Short Path to Enlightenment by Brunton. And I came across this book last year. A client of mine gave it to me, and it has been a really fascinating, really eye-opening, and quite an awakening experience of working through this book. So I won't even say reading this book, because it's something that you have to work through. And I'm about ready to start over reading it from the beginning again. And I know there's going to be some incredible value in this book, even the second time around. I can recommend this book particularly to males. I have to say, it is written by a male, and it's written in a very masculine format. So that doesn't mean females can't read it. It's just you'll have to step into your masculine part of you to get the most value out of this. Whereas for males, it's probably a little bit easier to dig into this book simply because of the way that it is written and the approach that the way this subject has been approached, which can be approached both from the masculine and the feminine point of view. But being Brunton being a male, it's very clear that he has taken a quite masculine approach to that. So me being a male, I have really, really enjoyed that book. And by the way, I will put all the titles and some photos in this video as well, but some titles below the video with all these books. The next book is very different. It's the same in a sense that it has really taught me a lot of things, because it's very, very profound, despite the author being quite young. And it's very deep information, and experiences and understanding that this author has managed to collect in a very short time. But what I really like about it is it's a very fresh approach. It's very, very different language, yet the substance of it is actually very, very, very profound. And I believe this book came out this year. And the title, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, by Manson. So if you do have a problem with the F word, probably don't get this book, because it does appear a lot. It's what I like about it is the freshness. So it's like, it's a new way of getting across that which is extremely profound. So Eckhart Tolle does it in his way. And these two ways are very, very different. Yet they are both extremely, the Short Path, the Paul Brunton, and the Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. So where these two books are quite similar in the way the message is put across, this one here is staggeringly different. Yet it has a very similar depth to it, and that's why I enjoy it so much. And I have recommended this to a number of people, and everybody so far who have picked it up have smiled and come back to me and said, oh, it's a great book. I've already passed it on to others to read. The last of the four I can't show you because I only have it as an audio book, and it's came out this year, and it is similar again to the last one with Manson, in the sense is that it is it's quite profound, the message in it, but put across in a different way. And yes, the F word does appear in that one quite a lot. And once you hear who has written it, you'll probably understand that. So this book is by Russell Brand, and it's called Recovery. And one of the things I like about it is that he so openly shares his own journey of recovery from addiction, and goes through basically the 12-step program, which he did not want to get into for various reasons, but ended up doing, and it worked for him. So he has kind of, I wouldn't say redesigned it, but reworded it. And the book is partly about that process that he went through. But it's also about his journey and how he got to the place where he realized that he needed to do something about his addictions. The reason that I'm going to recommend this book to everybody, and in this video, is not just for people who have an addiction in the traditional sense, or whether it's like him with a drug addiction, alcohol addiction. I'm recommending it because what I'm getting from the book is that we are, as I see it, all addicted to something. I'm going to see if I find the best way of putting this. So, from my viewpoint, if you are not a fully enlightened human being, then you are addicted to thinking. Addicted to habitual thinking, where we are worrying or just going around things in our head in what I call the loop, over and over and over again, and thinking thoughts that we actually don't need to think, but we cannot control it. We cannot stop that thinking by saying, oh, I don't need to think that, and then it stops. Very, very few people can do that. So unless you can do that, unless you're fully enlightened, then you are addicted to thinking. And this book can help with that. Help with that clarity. And for me, it was really refreshing to come to the place of going, yeah, actually, I am addicted to thinking. Not just because Eckhart Tolle is saying that over and over again, but seeing it from a fresh perspective, using the word addiction. So I can recommend this to anybody who has an addiction with just that. And then most of us, not everybody, but most of us also have other addictions, whether it is Facebook, social media addictions, playing games on our phones, maybe it's drinking a bit too much, eating too many chocolate biscuits, or whatever it may be. So this book is not for people just with severe addictions, even though it's written by a person who had some pretty severe addictions, and he worked his way through that. He's reading the audiobook himself. It's also out there as a paperback. You might have seen it already in the shops. But I really, again, love the audiobook because it's written by himself, and he's really putting the emotion of what he's reading, because it is his own story. So I really enjoy reading that. So that's Recovery by Russell Brand. And the reason I'm calling the last one the plus one is because that one is a fiction book. And I don't do a lot of fiction books. But these days, again, with audio, I really enjoy a good fiction book. And I want to recommend this one because to me in this book there is actually more than just fiction in it. And it has an incredible twist to it. And at the very end, something is coming out in this book that I think is probably not necessarily as much fiction as we may think it is. And it's definitely something that got me thinking and pondering and going, where are we heading as human beings? Because the key question that is being explored in this novel is, where did we come from and where are we going? And again, you've probably seen this one because it's a pretty famous author. It's Dan Brown, who got famous for the Da Vinci Code a number of years ago. And his latest book is called Origin. Origin by Dan Brown. So again, I can't show it to you because I only have it as audio, and it's not Dan Brown reading it himself, but it's a very good narrator that is narrating that book, and I probably will put it in the category of quite possibly his best book yet. I've read all the previous ones, or listened to actually all of them, and watched the movies, and this last one, Origin, it had me on the edge of the seat all the way along. And as I said, there's an interesting twist at the unexpected twist at the end of it, an indication of a good novel. So with that, I will put the titles of those 5 books below. Some reading, listening for you for the rest of the year and into the new year 2018. And I wish you a very, very Merry Christmas.